Hey, it's Steve Tenorello with Ad Machines. This is Lead Generation Nation. Today we're going to be talking about the Get Your Cool Back campaign and how it ties into Google AdWords. I've been managing Google AdWords for more than 15 years now. I started back in 2002 when Google first released AdWords as an advertising vehicle. This summer we'll generate about 25,000 AC repair and replacement leads client wide. And I've learned a lot over the past decade or so, and now is probably the best time to make investments with AdWords. AdWords has come such a long way. It is one of the only advertising vehicles where you can make an investment and control your outcome. But you have to put in the work, you have to know what you're doing. There's a lot of information, a lot of moving parts. You need to know where to go so you can make these controls. And in this video, I'm kind of going to give you an overview of all the things you can control, where you should be able to make tweaks and adjustments to improve your campaigns and really get the most you can out of AdWords, because that's what Lead Generation Nation is all about. It's about extracting as much value as you can out of your advertising. But first things first, you have to make sure you're in a good relationship with Google. Are you paying them direct, or are you stuck in some kind of relationship where you have to make a huge upfront payment to an advertising company and then they make the investments on your behalf and they don't share this information with you? So you want to make sure you have access to this information, that you can get to it. Google does share all of this, and you can really hold your performance accountable to certain metrics. And I'm going to share with you all the things you can control. So obviously you can control how much you spend. You probably aren't aware that you can actually set up a cost per lead right in Google, and you can control what you're willing to spend per lead. Now that will control how much volume you get, but you can put Google on a fixed lead kind of budget, and that's something that you can set up. You need some advanced conversion tracking built into your campaigns, but you can do that. You can track and manage the rate of your spend, what time you run your ads, the message, the position of your ads, the keyword selection, which keywords deliver a result. Google will actually show you which keywords are giving you the best return on your ad spend. What terms don't make sense, the ones that you're paying for that are really driving up your costs. Which devices are giving you the best bang for your buck. Which audience, who's clicking on your ads? Is it male or female? What age group are clicking on your ads? The network where you run the ads, the location, and obviously you can control your phone line. So this is just a fraction of what you can control. This is what's important for today's overview. So I take a 5M approach. There's 5 M's here. It's real simple. I'm going to walk you through each one of these: the match, the message, the mechanics, the measurement, and the mistakes. Now I'm going to focus really on the top 4: the match, the message, the mechanics, and the measurement. I'm going to sprinkle in some mistakes as we go through this. So the match is basically the keywords. Which keywords are you putting in place into your setup? Because Google AdWords is all based on the words that you're willing to have in your portfolio to trigger an ad. And there's all these different types of categories that you can put out there in terms of AC replacement, and I'm gonna talk to you about the top 10 categories. So let's talk about sales ready intent. This is the category where you have buyers closest to making a decision. These are the keywords that are going to deliver the bulk of your traffic. So a good term for sales ready intent would be AC replacement. That's a great term to trigger an ad. A bad example of sales ready intent would be cheap AC replacement. Who wants to do business with somebody who types in the word cheap AC replacement? You know you're going to get a cheap kind of person, unless that's the type of lead you're trying to generate. Now, if you're playing AdWords or pay-per-click as a numbers game, okay, maybe this is an opportunity that you may want to let into your sales funnel. But I'm just giving you some basic examples. The next kind of intention, the buying intention. Central air installation prices. So I'm out there. I'm searching for prices of central air installation. I'm getting some just ballpark information out on the web to kind of gauge my budget. A bad buying intent would be window air conditioner prices. How many, nobody watching this video wants to attract people looking for wall units or window units in their sales funnel. The next intention is probably the fastest growing segment of what we see is location intent. And I would say one out of four mobile searches results in a search where we're seeing voice search. So people are talking to their phone, and a lot of that is location-based intent. So air conditioner contractor near me, AC contractor near me, great term. Find me an air conditioner store near me. Hey Siri, find me an air conditioner store near me. That's not a good term. Unless you have a showroom, 1% of the people that watch this video will have a showroom and actually have central air conditioning on display. It's just not something you go to a store for, right? So it's a bad term to be bidding on. So these are just broad examples, and you could take a full day and sit down and kind of go through each one of these categories and figure out what belongs and what doesn't belong. What's a good match for your sales funnel? Interest intent, that's the next category. Central air options. These are people early on in the buying cycle. There's certain ways that they search. They're looking to explore their options. That's a good term. Air conditioner sizes. This implies potentially a window unit. I want to stay away from that type of search volume. And the more you come up with, the least amount of waste you'll have in your Google AdWords setup. Application intent. Air conditioner installer. Good term. Nice healthy term to generate a lead. Application. How to install an air conditioner. This is somebody going to YouTube, maybe trying to do it themselves, whether it's central air or a window unit. So that word how to is something to exclude in your portfolio of keywords. It can really cost you a lot of unnecessary advertising dollars. Product intention. Lennox air conditioners. I just saw a commercial for Lennox. Maybe that sparked my interest. I want to show up and be in the game for that type of search term. Home Depot air conditioners. I don't want to be there. Weighing options intent. These are people that may have already had somebody out in their home, or they're thinking about pulling the trigger, but there's some options that they're going through in their buying cycle. Central air financing. It's a really good term to show up for. You could show a financing offer in your ad. Air conditioner rentals. We don't want that. We're not a rental business. We're not trying to rent equipment to people. Now let's talk about non-relevant intent. And a lot of this goes into your setup and negative keywords inside of Google AdWords. Now, keywords is the most basic and simplest thing that you can set up inside of Google. You have your keywords and you have your negative keywords. And there's all these different types of match types. But as long as you have the right types of keywords and you have a list of the wrong types of keywords, you're going to do okay. And over time, you start to see what kind of information will come in through Google AdWords. You can make decisions on what fits and what does not fit. And that's a big part of managing an account is to see what you have invested in and actually produced the wrong result so it doesn't happen again, so you can weed that information out. So let's talk about non-relevant intent. Auto, Honda, Toyota air conditioning repair, air conditioning replacement for an automobile. You can just take a full list of all the automobile manufacturers and apply that to your air conditioner campaign. We have a house list here that we use for each one of these categories. It's more important to have more negative keywords than you actually do have positive keywords that you're bidding on, because it controls the quality of the lead. It controls how much you're paying for a lead, plus all these other things that go into managing metrics, which we'll talk about up ahead. So here's an example: AC Repair Honda. Now here's Petro.com. This is a very large uh, utility in our area here, and they have an HVAC division. So, you know, this is an example of a big company not paying attention, and really they're just flying blind. Parts. You take a list of parts, capacitors, fuses, relay switches, common things that you have on the truck. You just make a list of it, or better yet, take an Excel spreadsheet from your supplier, and you put in all the parts that you can think of into Google AdWords as negative keywords. That way, it does not trigger an ad, because those would be ads that are getting clicked on from other technicians searching for parts. Competitors. There's a few ways you could set up competitors inside of Google AdWords. I like to do it a couple different ways, but just having a basic list of your top competitors will prevent people who call you looking for your competitor. Unless you want those types of calls, I would recommend against setting up campaigns to attract competitor calls, because they just become a huge nuisance when you look at the numbers. Set up competitors as negative keywords. You don't want your competitor traffic. Most likely, it's going to be some type of callback, and you don't want to get involved and spend money on pay-per-click for your competitor terms. Boys' names. If you're going up against a one-truck operator, the name of his business might be Frank's Heating or Frank's Air Conditioning. So if you have the word Frank as a negative keyword, or Bob or Bill or John or Joe, there you go. That's going to prevent names of companies with just the man's name. So you could put that in place. Big box stores: Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, Best Buy, Sears, any big box that you can think of in your area, maybe a local big box, to prevent that kind of traffic. Wall units, Kenmore, any kind of appliance out there, GE. Now, some of these manufacturers also make central air units, so you want to be careful of excluding qualified traffic. Do-it-yourselfers. You want a list of do-it-yourself terms, videos, how to fix, information like that. Any parts that you can buy on Amazon, you want to include that in your negative keyword portfolio. And not a home. So this is like playing Jeopardy. You want to sit down and kind of go through this list, or better yet, if you need some help launching this, just call us and we'll do this for you. We have all this. Not a home, RV. Any recreational vehicle, any trailer park that you don't want to service, make sure you put that into your negative portfolio. And not your service. So let's say you don't do commercial, you don't do chillers, you don't do rooftop units, you don't do any kind of commercial work. Put that into your negative keyword roster. That way you don't get that kind of traffic. And not your age group. So Google has a lot of control now in terms of demographic information. I can exclude males ages 18 to 35, females ages 18 to 35 from actually seeing the ads. So if you think that you have young technicians clicking on your ads because it's slow and that's driving up your Google costs, you can exclude that group of people from actually seeing your ads. So that's fairly new with Google. Google is doing a lot more in terms of demographic targeting, and there's some campaigns that we have in place that talk about this. But all this is basic setup processes inside of Google AdWords when you first get going. Next, we're going to talk about the message. So once you get your matches down, the message is critically important. So we want to match your keyword to the ad copy. So let's talk about some common mistakes. And I just searched today in my market. So if you're one of these companies, I apologize in advance. I'm not picking on you. I'm just pointing out some obvious errors. So in some of these companies, working with some of our competitors, the first one's a Vital Storm ad. The third one down there is a Scorpion ad. ARS Boston, I believe they do that themselves. So there's 3 ads I want you to look at. AC replacement near me. That's a qualified term. So the first one, number one AC replacement company. I don't necessarily like that because you can't back that up, unless you have a really good review profile. In this case, there really isn't one. I think this company has a 2-star review rating in the market on Yelp. Get $188 off AC replacements. That's really not all that compelling. And reduce your home's energy consumption by 25 to 40%. So what's it going to be? What is the percentage? And that's a really, that's an analytical type of benefit. It's a good benefit, but it's not, stay comfort all summer, stay cool all summer long, or quiet operation. Those would be better uses of benefits. And there's no next step, so I don't have a call to action. It's just, hey, call us. For what? What am I calling for? So I'm not. I'm just kind of picking this apart and giving you obvious errors that may be hidden in your campaigns today. And obviously, I'm going to show you what you can do to make improvements. And also, you want to keep in mind. So you have a lot of smart people who click on ads now. Google's doing a good job of moving ads around, and ads don't appear to look like ads like they used to. So there's this misnomer out there that smart people don't click on ads, and I click on them all the time. My wife clicks on them all the time, and ads don't look like ads anymore. They used to be used to have yellow background. The word ad looked like a billboard. Now it's very subtle. There's a lot of options that you can put in place today to really really spruce up the ad and put as many elements as you can into it. The second example below, residential AC repair. So I typed in AC replacement. I want to dial in my ad copy to be very specific to the term AC replacement. So this, obviously is just slapped together in one campaign. So if somebody types in AC repair or replacement, this is what they see. Residential AC repair. Well, there should be some type of replacement offer, and there's nothing to do with replacement here. So there's an obvious error in this setup. It actually looks like a very old ad. It doesn't incorporate any type of call extensions. That's something that's missing. And the third ad, local AC install expert. We could have very easily put the word replacement in there. You want to be as relevant as possible. So if I type in AC replacement, the word install might throw me off. Now you and I know install and replacement, they're kind of the same word, but the homeowner may not know that. So let's keep it as consistent and dialed in as we can. So it's very common for us as a company, when we look at a keyword, we just want a handful of keywords and really good ads that match those keywords. So in our setup, we may have a couple hundred ads to support our keywords, and we're just looking at small tweaks to make sure that the message is on point. I'm about 45 miles north. I'm 45 minutes north of Boston. So they serve Boston. So this is a really broad ad. I may not want to do business with somebody in Boston. They have a 617 number. My area code up here is 978, and I'm just not attracted to that ad as a homeowner. I'd rather see my city name in there, rather see my extension, and call for a free estimate. How many times have you got a phone call from somebody? Hey, I'm looking to replace my air conditioning unit. Can you give me a ballpark? So you can disqualify some of that traffic by putting in free in-home estimate and exclude that type of prospect. Now, I also want to mention, if we look at first placement, number one AC replacement, the cost to run that ad in that position is probably about 30 to 40% more than the third position. Now, if I have a really effective ad that's fully baked out and dialed in, it's okay for me to be in the third position at a discount, because in a sales situation, in a higher average ticket like replacement, people are going to self-qualify and read through these ads and they're going to call a handful of these contractors. So, why not run yourself in the third position and get a uh, longer use out of your budget throughout the day, because people are still going to call you as long as you have a better ad. So those are some examples of some common mistakes that we see. And here's an ad. If you're a machine member here, you'll be able to download the blueprints that we have in place for this AC season. We have a full roster of repair and replacement ads, tune-up ads that we run on Google. So if you sat through my ad copy formula training, you'll notice the 10 different elements that we came up with, and here's an example of us incorporating those elements. $99 a month, new AC system installed, $1,000 cash back plus zero down. So there's my value, there's my ease of use. Getyourcoolback.com. Get a free in-home estimate and next day installation. There's my speed, my urgency, my call to action, plus a free Nest thermostat. Call now. We're available. So there's a lot that has just gone into that ad, a lot of strategy behind it, and I'm using Google's ad extensions. If you set this up the right way, you can actually get about a ½ inch more space and show more features compared to your competitors. And what does that do? That's going to increase your click-through rate and your conversion. So there's my local phone number, local since 1982. That's my differentiation section. I'm using a couple different Google ad extensions to work in my benefits, energy efficiency, quiet operation. I tied in my Google My Business and integrated Google My Business to Google AdWords, and what that does, if you have a really good review profile, it's going to show you stars. So you can just let Google tell everybody how great you are by doing that integration. But you need to have access to your Google AdWords account in order to do that. And lifetime protection, no breakdown guarantee. I'm using site links there. So I have a really good ad. I could use this ad on a postcard, no sweat, and it's going to get me a result. This ad works really well for our replacement campaign. So that gives you an idea of the strategy that goes into the ad, how dialed in things need to be in order for it to work inside of AdWords. The next thing we want to talk about is the mechanics, all the things you can control and things that you can put in place to really get a good result. So the first thing we talk about is the landing page. You need to have a landing page. There's a separate video that walks you through the landing pages here. The biggest thing is to make sure that your message on the ad is word for word on the landing page and that it matches and that it's unified. If you have an AC replacement ad and you send them to a repair page, you're not going to get a good conversion. So you want everything to be consistent. The landing page is an extension of your ad, and this is where you're going to do a little bit more selling and presentation of more information. If you have more questions about landing pages, you want to watch that specific video. I really drill into it there. Next thing you want to talk about positioning. Third, fourth position. That's where I want to buy my ad placement. Let those other guys bleed budget and run on autopilot. I'll come in and come out of the market and I'll run the third, fourth position. I'll get a really good return on my ad spend. The next thing is timing. You want to make sure you separate your replacement campaigns from your repair campaigns. Repair campaigns you can turn on, turn off based on your capacity. Your replacement campaign should run 24 hours a day. If people aren't going to call you during normal business hours, let them fill out a form. Keep those replacement campaigns running. People sit down at dinner time on the weekends. That's when they're talking to their husbands, their wives, making decisions like that to take the next step. So you want to make sure you're in the game for any type of sales related opportunity, and keep the ads running 24 hours on replacement. Device, it's a good split. Desktop to mobile. We see a lot of mobile search that turns into desktop. People that clicked on mobile will come back on desktop. So it's important to back up your replacement campaigns with a remarketing strategy. We'll talk about that in a separate video. But I'm going to run an even split on replacement between mobile device, and a desktop. We see a lot of tablet search too with sales related search. On repair, you're going to spend a lot more money on mobile. Now let's talk about some Google AdWords controls. Audience restrictions, we talked about that. You can control who can click on an ad. So I can restrict male and female audiences ages 18 to 35 so they never see my ad. And you want to look at who is your ideal customer, who's buying from you, what age are they, and that's who you want to have this ad in front of. So that's fairly new with Google. Locations, if you go back to last season, look at how many opportunities you sold and in what zip codes they were located. And if you have a limited budget, that's where I'd recommend you start running your ads in those markets so you can control which zip codes you run the ads. You can work the name of the city into each one of those zip codes to make it more relevant, and really just focus in and spend your marketing dollars in the areas that you know work. And that's a good place to do that. And you can exclude other locations. So let's say you're in an area that you're receiving a lot of telemarketer traffic from California, for example, and you're in the East Coast. You can exclude California from seeing your ads. There's different things you can do to exclude people from clicking your ads in other states. Now let's talk about measurement. This is the final M in the 5M approach. Now the first number that you want to focus on, and I'm going to give you these metrics in the order in which you should really focus in on them, is landing page conversion. That'd be number one. A lot of people make the mistake of measuring cost per lead first. Remember, air conditioning, there's a lifetime value associated with the leads that you generate, but landing page conversion is a sign of how effective your landing page is, how effective the message is on the page, and how technically sound the page is. What is the experience to the user? That's something that's very important in terms of dialing in your landing page conversion. If I have a low landing page conversion, then I know I have some kind of technical issue on the page, or the message isn't matching up to the keyword and to the ad. So those are the things to look at. Click-through rate. The higher the click-through rate, the better the ad copy is, the better the keyword portfolio is. If you have a really low click-through rate, that means you don't have the right mix of keywords, or you have a poor performing ad. Next is my cost per lead. Now if you work on these two things, your landing page conversion, if you increase your landing page conversion, you're going to reduce your cost per lead because you're getting a better efficiency on turning more clicks into conversions. And if you improve your click-through rate, you're taking more marketing impressions and you're getting them into your sales funnel, which in turn is going to reduce your cost per lead. Positioning, you can look at your average position over time with Google. Again, I want to be in that third or fourth slot in my sales campaign. And I always like to look at my search terms report. As a company, for the clients that we manage, we go in here daily and we scrub out terms that don't make sense. So if you go through the exercise of putting together all of the match keywords and you look at the different intentions that we discussed, there's going to be some that slip through the cracks. It's just there's an infinite amount of terms that people search on, and this is where you can quickly go and see where am I wasting ad dollars, and you can make improvements here. Now at the end of the day, Google will tell you which keywords are producing the best result. So as long as you have conversion tracking set up and you're using that the right way and you're tracking keywords at the keyword level, then you know which keywords are generating the best leads, the best revenue, and you can really focus in on those keywords over time. And that's one of the reasons why over time your pay-per-click performance should get better, because you really just dialed in to the things that works, and that's all the information Google gives you. That you just have to put the time, effort, and energy into managing it and using the information the right way. Another thing too, when I talk about measurement, you got to keep in mind that there's a good chance you may have a dashboard that you're looking at. It's always a good idea to look at your invoice, what Google is charging you, and match that up to your Google account. Now, if you don't have access to that, these dashboards can be used for good, they can be used for evil. So some of that information might be skewed. The dashboards that we use, we have that option to increase our margin on clicks. We're just not that business model. And there's some business models out there, some companies you might be working with that do that. They'll increase their margin by 20% and they can fudge the numbers. So you always want to hold who's managing your pay-per-click for you accountable to those numbers, and the best way to verify that information is to actually look at Google itself. So with our clients, they get over-the-shoulder access. They can see everything that we're doing, and we keep it very transparent for them. So if you feel like you're not seeing improvements in these metrics, go to Google and see what these numbers are in the true instance. So I hope that was helpful. Stay tuned for the next series on the Get Your Cool Back campaign. Look forward to delivering more value to you. Thank you.